And welcome to VWMOOC 24 and our 10th anniversary. So it's really, really exciting. We are in our second week of VWMOOC 24. It's a 4-week, a whole month event. Our presenter today, well, we've got two presenters actually, is Sheila Weber, Sheila Yoshikawa in Second Life. And you can see she's faculty member in the Information School, iSchool, University of Sheffield, and an honorary fellow at the UK's Chartered Institute of Library and Information Professionals. Her core teaching and research areas are information literacy and information behavior. She has maintained the information literacy weblog, and you can see the link to her blog spot, since 2005. Before becoming an academic in 1992, she worked at the British Library. Sheila has been in Second Life since 2007 and taught undergraduate and postgraduate students in Second Life for many years. She also led an events program, including a regular journal club on InfoLit iSchool in Second Life Island. She is currently leader of the Virtual Worlds Education Roundtable, a weekly Second Life discussion group that started in 2008 and is a founder member of the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. Her work in Second Life and in other technology-enhanced learning was cited in her U of S Senate Award for Sustained Excellence in Teaching. Sheila also likes virtual cats and shopping for virtual clothes. Our second speaker is Barry Spencer in Second Life, skipper Abel, working as an operation analyst for British Telecom. Barry graduated from the Open University in 1990 with a bachelor's degree from the Open University School of Technology. In 1991, he completed PGCE and entered the teaching profession as a physics teacher. He joined the Bromley College of Further and Higher Education in 1996 as a course leader for the BTEC Level 2 and 3 IT applications courses. From 2000, he began working with the higher education team, delivering Franchise University of Greenwich programs in software engineering. In 2004, Barry led the installation and training program for the Moodle VLE to the college, with a wider ambition for intervention and support for delivery of trials capable of leveraging the affordances of social constructivism as proposed by the designer of the Moodle platform. That's Martin Dogianis, that completed successfully in 2006. It was during the same year that he joined Second Life and has since used the platform as part of the mainstream delivery for level 2, 3, 4, and 5 students.
Welcome everyone to the Virtual Worlds Education Roundtable. This meeting is a public meeting that's in text every week on Thursday at 12 noon Second Life time. And there's information in the local chat about the meeting. I'm also going to add how you can find information online. I'll put that in local chat. People normally provide a bit about themselves each week in the local chat every Thursday, and they attend all kinds of great simulations. They talk about how to teach and learn in virtual worlds, and they tell what they're interested in and why they're in the virtual world of Second Life. Today, however, we're going on a tour, and we will have some voice, I believe, not just all in text. So we're going to begin by everyone introducing themselves, and you'll see I'm putting that in the local chat. In the local chat, I'm saying, let's begin by introducing ourselves. If it's your first time here, please say so we can take good care of you. And if not, you can put whatever you want about yourself, your real life name, but you don't have to, or any information that you want to share. So I'm going to share mine. I see Wisdom Seeker is sharing. I'll find my little bit about me while people are sharing. right. I'll say that my real life name is Valerie Hill, and I'm a librarian and educator in virtual worlds. So you can see different people are putting information about themselves right here. We have Wisdom Seeker, P. Ilios. We also have, right, I'm going to pull the local chat down just during this part. Tom Bukowski, who's a digital anthropologist and has a book out. You might want to check that out later. Peonia Destiny, one of the leaders of the MOOC, who's a virtual world educator. And other people are sharing information about themselves before we begin our session today. Just going to check real quick if Sheila is online. She may be having some tech problems. I don't see her, but I'll zoom in on Skipper. This is our presenter today, who is Skipper Abel. And Skipper is going to be taking us on the field trip to carbon-free living net zero. His real life name is Barry Spencer, as Nellie told you in the introduction. And I see people are telling a little bit about what they do in Second Life. Shiloh here is talking about a stream that's coming up, some events coming up. She's the event director for the Vertex Sim, which is part of Caltech University. I'll pan the crowd while we're waiting for our program to start. You can see several people sitting here waiting for the field trip to begin. And over here are some people sitting on chairs. This is the location where the Virtual Worlds Education Roundtable meets every week. They have a calendar up here that tells Thursdays, 12 noon, and you can see for today, carbon-free living net zero. Next week, same time, same place, AI and information literacy, a panel right here on Thursday. And I'll see it looks like Barry will be saying something soon. Okay, Skipper Abel, that's Barry, who's our host today on the field trip. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Worlds Education Roundtable. And he's saying that we meet every Thursday at 12 noon. We are in association with the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium and also part of the Virtual World MOOC 2024 this week. VWER, the Virtual Worlds Education Roundtable, is a forum to educate and inform the community about issues that are important and relevant to education in virtual worlds. Skipper's saying this is a public meeting and we publish the transcripts. So the one today will be found at https://vwer.info. The VWER continues to develop a community of educators from around the world. You can join the group in Second Life or on Facebook. And there's a sign right here that you can join if you come in World, the group joiner. The topic for this meeting today is carbon-free living net zero here in Second Life. Text chat will be used throughout. So if you have any questions as we go along, then feel free to ask. So I'll be doing the voice for Skipper since this is all done with this chat right here in Second Life. Skipper says, unless you already have done so, let's start as we normally do and introduce ourselves. Just type into text chat as much or as little as you want. You can see there's virtual food here while the people are chatting about who they are. You can click on this and take a little treat. And I see that Peonia has a little cup of tea, or I think it's, what is this? It looks like it's lemon tea, yes. I'm telling Skipper that I'm reading the voice in Zoom to help him out. It's difficult to experience Second Life with just the text, especially if you've never been in the world. So Skipper says, I would like you to follow me, and I can outline the original project with a short presentation first. So I'm going to stand up. We're all going to stand and see where Skipper's going. Okay, Skipper, where did you go? Okay, here he is. See, I'm going to walk over here to Skipper, and he's got a presentation all ready for us for the Virtual World MOOC 2024, Carbon-Free Living Net Zero. Let's see if the crowd's following us over. Yes, they are. We're walking over to the presentation. I'll cam out so you can see that this is a beautiful big simulation island with a tree house. And it's just amazing. All of the great content that Sheila Weber of the University of Sheffield has here in Second Life. You can also just sit down here on the ground so I'm not in your way. People are walking over to see his presentation, which he has resed right on the ground. Resed is what we call when you pull something out and place it in Second Life, and then the resolution comes up and you call it res. Skipper says, as learning objectives, a student would be able to calculate the electrical power consumption of domestic appliances, evaluate forms of energy output available from renewable energy sources, apply the working relationship between demand and availability of electrical power. The cohort are a small second-year level 5 group comprising 6 post-19 adult male students studying a foundation degree in software development. While the group had completed a virtual world project at level 4, it was decided to incorporate a second orientation and familiarization period. The course itself was validated from the University of Greenwich. Students can graduate with the foundation degree and then have option to join the university for the 3rd and final year of the BSc. A numbered set of information boards have been created and placed as an effective means to facilitate a clear set of sequenced. Here are images for each of the residents used in the original project, and they reveal the variation in renewable energy resources available to the students. I'll zoom in close on these solar homes as examples. Student avatars exploring one of the solar home kitchen learning spaces are in this picture. In the background, a kitchen appliance, the oven, has a red label indicating that it is currently in a switched off state, whereas the green label indicates that the kettle is switched on, with the amount of energy in watts being consumed shown in green text. So this is exploring a residence within a simulation. You will later see that the power ratings are actually used in generating real-time reports. Touching on the picture of a solar collector dispenses a note card, the working description and question in green text. An important consideration for assessment was to ensure each student receives a unique question made possible through scripting to generate sets of pseudo-random values that embedded in the text dialogue. I'll zoom in, you can see the note card that the student is given. And this helps with assessment of the student learning. The scripting makes it unique. Each residence had a framed picture of one renewable energy source. See if someone's voice is on here. Yes, I'll let Illing know that the mic is on. Okay, she can turn off her mic. Using values generated in the text chat and note card formula,
You can
students...
just lower their,
I'll lower it. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Using values generated in the text chat and the note card formula, students type their answer into the note card along with their ID, and then they save that and drag it to the post box for submission. Each student was required to produce 2 individual note card solutions per residence, giving an overall mark of 10%. And next, you'll see a graph of the total research. You can see the touch events logged for each individual student throughout the period of the project. Using values generated in the text chat and the note card formula, students type their answers into the note card, as I said. And qualitative analysis was used. Students completed an online Moodle VLE questionnaire using a 5-point Likert scale shown here below. They disagree completely, disagree partially, neither agree nor disagree, agree partially, or agree completely. The 22 feedback questions are formed and adapted from a subset of those created by the instructors. And some of the student feedback for learning, you can see the questions here. And this was from the Department of Communication at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Question 7, learning in a virtual world. A significant 67% partially felt that the experience helped them to think more deeply about the exercise. And for question 8, the virtual world helped me to better understand concepts. 66% are in partial or full agreement with the proposition. Question 9, I was engaged in the virtual world learning experience. Show 83% in partial or full agreement with that statement. Question 10, virtual world activities were not challenging. Here, a majority of 66% disagreed, either partially or fully. They did find it challenging. And Q13, the virtual world was beneficial to my learning. 83% agree, either partially or fully, that learning benefits of using 3D learning space were truly beneficial. And if you'd like to see the complete survey, it is available in a paper. And he shows that it is on ResearchGate, and it's called Learning with Virtual World Simulations. You can see the link here in the local chat. This text, as I told you, is archived at the VWER archives.
Val,
So you can
can
see.
you close the audio, please? If that's possible. Thank you. The audio
Oh, thank you. Sure.
bar, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And you can see that this survey really did show that most of the students really found the virtual world as a beneficial part of their learning through these different kinds of questions and feedback. Just going to cam out so you can see that we're all still standing around looking at the research that Skipper here is telling us about. If there are no questions, says Skipper, then we can teleport over to the landing point and use the teleport board. So we're going to Star Beach. Okay, I'm going to stand up and teleport right here. I just click on this link to Star Beach. We should be teleporting. See right here, teleport. And when we arrive, I'll cam out so I can see the landing point here, and we'll follow Skipper. People are landing. Here's our host, Skipper Abel. And you can see here, he's got a fun physics box. Okay, I'll turn off the music. Sometimes music auto plays. I'll start my.
Okay, you should see.
And I think someone's talking. Is it Skipper? Turn him up if he is talking. People are all arriving. You can see here in this nice teleporter hub right here on Star Beach Island. Also called Shimmer Island for the whole simulation. All right, let's see what Skipper is going to be telling us to get us started. Some problem with the microphone, so he's going to use text for now. That happens. Sound issues sometimes happen, and we all learn to adjust. Often people use back channeling on apps like Discord to troubleshoot voice. I'm telling him I heard him briefly. Tom saying someone had voice on a bit ago. All right, so just touch on the net zero teleport board, okay? Here, we'll look around for net zero. There's Skipper on Twitter. I'll come around and show you. Here's the, want to know about C# language, carbon neutral, a learning space, touch for a teleport. This must be it. So I'm going to touch it. And here I go. All right, here we are. I'll walk over a little bit to be out of the way and follow Skipper. It looks a little darker here, doesn't it? Look at my screen.
Okay, right, my voice appears to be working again now. Microphone swapped out.
All right, take it away, Skipper.
We're all okay? Right, good. Thank you, Tom. Before we start, it's the instructions that come out of the small build that you can see ahead of you are all on the public chat channel. So what I'll do, I'll have a quick run through for you. If we go in there, shouldn't be too crowded. And then you can have a play yourselves. So you'll notice to the left, just down by the river and next to the jetty, there's a water turbine, and that has been scripted and is generating electricity, as you'll see, once we start running the reports from inside. Now, this is the Eco Warriors pod, as I originally called it, wall panel, that says reporting off, and it has a red light. That means it's not reporting at the moment. So if I just click on that, it will change to green, and we'll just wait for a few seconds while it collects the data from all the appliances and from the renewable energy sources, and you'll start to see the reports appearing in chat text. There we are. You can see it there. It gives you the sun angle. Cloud cover is saying 0%. It gives gust wind speed in meters per second and kilometers per hour. The power from the wind turbine, which is on the roof. The solar panels are generating a nice amount of energy for us. And the solar collector, which is really a heat exchanger. Lots of energy coming out of that. And the water turbine. It does give you a very quick estimate of the carbon saving in grams for that amount of energy that's being produced. It's only an estimate, I have to say. It depends on what you consider are the carbon savings. It varies in different countries depending upon the way that they produce electricity. So it's an average, really. Okay, so now if we look at the total appliance power, you can see it's saying 3,600 at the moment. And that's because if you look over to the kitchen units on the left, there are some appliances switched on. So if you just touch them, the oven and the kettle, they're now going to be red, which indicates they're switched off. So the next report that comes out should indicate to us that, in fact, there we are, total appliance power 0. So we could have more than these. This is just a demonstrator. You can have more. We have lights. You can turn the lights on. Just click on the lights. That will start to consume power as well. So the idea was that the students would be given a different range of appliances and a different capacity for the renewable energy devices, and from that they could work out their own individual simulation, which they would be producing in a Java program. Now, looking at there's a wall panel there, because we have to get around to the learning. Where were they actually going to learn how this stuff works? You can see there is a wall panel above the table, and that Tom's sitting on there, and each one of those is an icon. It's a hot map, so you can click on any one of those and it will immediately say, well, here's a water heater. It will then offer you a note card which you can keep, and it will then start asking you questions. It gives you a chance to actually take part in what is essentially formative learning. I'm not suggesting there was any assessment in this example because there is no postbox, but this is the way the students could go through their learning and answer the questions. The questions were pretty unique, as I said in the presentation. They used random numbers for the different values, and they could then keep the results in the note cards that they could use for reference when designing their own simulations. So I'll let you have a click around the devices if you wish, and clicking on the learning options there.
Skipper, I have a question. Can I post it?
Please do.
So Sheila is asking Skipper, is there a way that plants, or let's say, plants, algae, kelp, seaweed, can be incorporated into the build, grow sustainably to help absorb?
Yeah, there certainly is. Absolutely there is. What I did introduce on this part of the project was a small growing area just outside. There was a water tower that captured rainwater, and the question posed to the students was, how much land would you need to sustain, say, 1, 2 or 3 people? Because there's a lot more than we have here. But yes, there's no reason why that couldn't be done. You would just generate, if you like, the algae, kelp and seaweed. You could make that grow, you could make that expand, or you could just simply have it contributing information to the reporting. So you could begin to absorb as well as, if you like, CO2, avoid producing it. I was reading just the other week that a fully grown European oak tree will absorb something like 84 tons of carbon a year. So a decent sized forest becomes an option for managing CO2, I think. Peanut butter jelly man, why don't they cover the whole roof? Absolutely they can. This was one of the builds that I produced, one of the 5 builds, and others did have much larger solar panels. This is a fairly small area, and one of the questions that I got the students to consider was, how big should our living spaces be if we're going to use renewable energy? We tend to live in fairly large properties when we can. Do we need all that space, or should we consider having smaller spaces? And given the solar energy being produced by the panels that we have available here, you can see they're producing nearly 4 kilowatts of energy. That's reasonable, considering the mix that we have. So yeah, good question. And they got different sizes of solar panel in their projects to work with.
Couldn't, it's easier for me to say it because my typing, the keyboard's giving out. In this case, for the solar panels, couldn't extra energy be donated into a community for extra energy, so that if you use so much in a household, that the surplus could be used to generate community well-being?
Absolutely it could. Yes, you're completely right there. And one of the questions that they were given in their actual assessment was, what's going to happen at night? Because at night, the heat exchanger is not going to work. There's no sun. The solar panels aren't going to work. There's no sun. So we need excess generating capacity. How would we store that? And in the way that we normally have these panels installed on our homes, when we're not at home using, maybe we're at work, that extra electricity is sent back into the grid, and you could be paid money from the grid provider for the energy you're providing. I know it takes quite a while to recover that, but nonetheless, if it was a community project and you had a whole number of these, absolutely, you could produce it as a central reserve of energy. Good point. Even with this small facility, you can see there's a lot of energy being produced here. When you look at the sum total, this latest one, it's coming out with 3.710 kilowatts. A fair amount of energy. I haven't included heating in this particular project. I assume we live somewhere warm. Electric vehicles, Sheila, that's a good one, isn't it? There is something like, and certainly in the UK, when we look at the move towards EVs and other movements away from hydrocarbon, for 2030, we're going to have to produce 50% more electricity to manage that. And I think that's becoming a realization in many countries now. I don't know if any of you own an EV. We have a hybrid, which is slightly better. I know friends of mine who have Teslas, and you do have to make sure that you cut back on those things you'd normally switch on in a car, such as aircon, which you don't even think about. But in an EV, you have to consider that. Battery drains very quickly. I think I missed a...
Tom says, I have a full EV in California and just got solar panels, including a battery.
Yeah, I just see the question here. Peanut butter, jelly man there. Yeah, does it make more economic sense to the consumer to have all these types within one house? Yeah, it does in a way. It's just that this was the way it allows students to have different environments, living spaces, and different means of production for each living space. Some of them had water turbines. I think some of them had wood burning stoves, and some of them were purely wind turbines and solar cells. So they could see how they would manage their energy requirements using these different resources. But yeah, why not?
You brought up a very good point, though, and I had been tracking, and I've seen a couple articles about the problem with wind turbines and what to do with the leftover turbine, blades. How did they address that in this build, or is that for future classes?
We didn't look at that because that's the if you like the resources themselves. We didn't think about the future. For instance, what's going to happen to the storage batteries? What's going to happen for the blades that buckle and break, and they do buckle and break quite a bit. That wasn't considered as part of the assessment, no. But that's a very good question. If you like, the removal of these things from the environment can be as difficult as actually extracting the rare earths you need to make them work, particularly the solar panels. The project itself lasted about 32 days. If you have a look at the project report, there's a lot more information in there. It didn't actually measure how many times they logged in. Instead, it kind of measured the number of clicks that they had in their learning. So once they'd had a lot of clicks in the early days, it kind of dropped off quite a bit while they were writing their own simulations. Thank you, Sheila. I would certainly hope so. Yes, it was basically a software engineering course, and my students do keep in touch through LinkedIn, and some of them have. A group recently said 5 of them out of the class of 20 were now all software engineers. I'm not sure where they're working now, though. I'll just go back to here and grab for you so you can see it. So I thought it was interesting, the types of question that students were thinking about.
Here's some of the questions Skipper is putting in the local chat. The exercise did stimulate discussion with questions.
I don't know if any of you actually have any renewable energy resources in your homes. I do not at the moment, I must admit.
Questions like, what about night when there's no sun? How much extra power should we design for? Is it time to consider living in smaller residences? How about heating, and how much power would that require?
Maybe not. It's the idea was the project would help people to think about it as much as anything else, and to make those decisions and choices, because there's a lot of market force out there convincing us to try and take these things on. I'm very enthusiastic about it. It's just, how practical is it, and what is, for many people, what's the payback? How long does it take to recover the investment? And it means you'll be staying in the property for a while, possibly.
Sheila mentions it's the future of homesteading or
We don't
victory
all live near
farms.
rivers, and so water turbines, very limited option there. Though they do produce a lot of electricity, so it's a fairly high density energy source, water, unlike wind.
I know people getting solar panels on their roof. That seems to be the most popular, says Roy Sutton. Like those pictured here.
Okay, everyone, but that's the facility. That's, if you like, if you have no other questions, you can stay around. You can revisit anytime you wish. I won't keep you here, but I hope you've enjoyed the visit and you found it useful. Yeah, peanut butter. That's right. It's when it comes to neighbourhoods, that they have tried a number of options there to get people to buy into it. Usually send out surveys to begin with, don't they? And then they'll say so many people have shown an interest, and then they'll mail shot the people that haven't yet. That type of thing. It must work better if it's done on a larger scale, I think. Home installation is another one. If you have home installation, I don't know, there's a big drive for that at the moment in the UK. That's the trouble with heat, it goes straight out the roof if you're not careful. Thank you, Sheila.
Skipper, Vale asked a question, which I would have asked too, about the demand of AI, or AI energy demands. And so she asked, will that impact what you're talking about for the future? And have your software engineers and students attending address that? What solutions are they coming up with?
Are you talking about the demands of AI processing, as it's...
Vale. Why didn't you clarify your question?
Oh yeah, okay, I've got it there, Val. Thank you. Yeah, you keep hearing, yeah, and we all do, about creating huge demand for energy. It certainly does. I was just reading recently that the use of cloud services now, and virtually all social media runs on cloud services, and so do some businesses, is now producing more CO2 than all commercial air flights. And as we move toward, using AIs, particularly the large language models that are becoming increasingly popular, then power demand for them is really substantial. So many of the companies actually base their server farms in cold climates. That way they don't have to cool the servers down. Nature does it for them, kind of thing. But even so, yes, I know, as we're trying to save energy in one area, something else comes along like AI and starts consuming it at fairly frightening rates. But my students haven't considered that at the moment, but it certainly is something really worth thinking about. Yeah, thanks for that question. Yeah, we are 2050 for the UK. Projections are that we will need to produce 3 times the power we currently have to meet the 2050 target, and that's without anything else coming along. Which it may, but then things may become more efficient as well. Yeah, I saw that peanut butter. I know I worked with IBM some years ago on their mainframe systems, and if the air conditioning went in the computer room, the whole thing shut down within a couple of minutes. The heat was substantial. Of course, we've possibly come up with saying things we start to use less in some areas. With Bitcoin possibly not as popular as it was, that was also demanding vast amounts of processing power. So as people's optimism about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency possibly diminishes, we might see that relieving pressure in one area. Yeah, okay, Tom. How much power a house like this in SL is using? Yeah, well, the reporting should tell you that. That's coming out here. That was the idea. I didn't put all the appliances in, but you can start to imagine once you've got the power coming in from the renewables, it's a fairly simple thing to kind of start wondering, oh, suppose I put a shower in, suppose I put a bath in, and all that water has to be heated, that type of thing. Yeah, but yes, Tom, yeah, the carbon footprint, that would be interesting. It can be calculated. There is even a carbon footprint for every email you send. And somebody did produce a figure recently for that. It escapes me what it was. You can actually get it down to that micro level of estimate. Yeah, Sheila, I know. We used to have storage heater systems. I don't know if you've ever used those. Um, we actually did, yeah.
Well, what I was thinking that if think of it like a cycle, Skipper, that if AI is generating heat, why couldn't the heat be refunneled back into the house to do things for cooking or heating the water supply and everything instead of relying on natural gas? So you're just, I mean, I'm not an engineer. I grew up with engineers, but I don't know how that works, but it would be kind of nice to see if that could happen. So you're not drawing on your solar energy. That's all, you know.
I agree completely, and that often does happen. Where I live in just outside of London, one of the power stations that was built, no, I think it's been decommissioned now, but the heat from the power station, the excess heat, because about a third of it goes up the chimney anyway if it's coal-fired, used to be used to heat the housing estate on the other side of the river. So they tried to conserve heat that way. The problem with heat is it's not easy to transport. So you would need to have your heat requirements based fairly near, or very near, in fact, to your AI servers that were generating so much heat, as it were. Yeah, right. It's proximity. Yes, that's right, Sheila. That's exactly what it is. It's a balance. We need to kind of think very carefully instead of just using the Earth's atmosphere as a heat sink, which we've done until recent times.
Tom asked a great question too, Skipper, in case you missed it, that he asked, are there ways that virtual world consumption could replace physical world consumption?
Well, I don't know. That's a very interesting question. I guess we'd have to talk with the sponsor, the Linden Labs, and see what their server farms consumed. Is that what you mean? And then look at the equivalent in real world?
Yeah, it's an interesting, possibility around, people buying more clothes for their avatars and not buying as much clothing in the physical world, for instance, or reducing travel because of conferences or even pleasure travel. It's all sort of speculation, but it is something I'm very interested in because I think we're still in a kind of post-traumatic situation from COVID where people are using that horrible time where there was a lot of improvising without much warning or support to sort of set the horizon of what's possible. And that's very unfortunate, right? Because there is a lot of potential for virtual worlds to impact climate change and create ways that we could reduce physical world climate impact that go way beyond Zoom and way beyond the kind of stuff we had to do during COVID. And it also doesn't have to be an all or nothing. It doesn't mean, the Matrix where we're only in a virtual world, but could it have a 5% reduction or, something like that would be a huge achievement. So it's a really interesting area.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I mean, given the consumption figures, 5% is an awful lot of energy. Yeah. You see that night has fallen, and you can see solar panels and solar collectors output has dropped to zero from the reporting. So it gives you a realistic idea of what happens, and then you start to wonder, suppose I need to put the TV on or boil a kettle. Do I have the power to do it now? Possibly not.
You can see I turned the night to midnight here with my second live control up here, world environment. Because Skipper said night had fallen. If you're here in Second Life, there's so much more than you can do than watching it on Zoom. I'm panning all around.
You know what, Skipper? We had a cabin in the up north part of Michigan. It's in the Upper Peninsula. And you have wood heat, right? So instead of trying to stoke up or use the propane, you would heat the water and you would heat your coffee kettle and everything on the little wood stove in the meantime so that you could keep all that hot and you use less energy. So it's just a matter of re-strategizing on what you do with that extra energy, that extra heat, right?
Yeah.
It's a behavior pattern that you have to retrain yourself. So if you have extra heat coming in, that's why I was saying, rechannel it into the heating unit of the house and maybe keep your hot water there or your boiling water there all the time, so you don't have to use extra energy for cooking or anything.
Exactly, because the energy is there, so you just need to use it for something useful that you may use later. When I moved into my home here, originally it had an oven called an Aga, which you may not have heard of, but they just run the whole time. They don't actually switch off. You know, it was coal fired. I will admit, I had it converted to gas, but there was a low heat plate, if you like, and you would just leave a large kettle on that, and it would just be brewing away the whole time, as you say. Yeah, it's just a question of strategizing how you do things rather than boiling kettles every time you need some hot water. I agree. Yeah, pilot flames, another thing. Absolutely. Yeah, Shiloh, that's the point. With the Arga that I had, there was a water tank in it, so that produced all the heating for the bath upstairs, and for extra heating, if you needed radiators, you could plumb them into it. Much of it was gravity fed. It wasn't that efficient, but it certainly stopped you from freezing in winter. So it tended to end up with one really warm room. Do not microwave water. I can imagine. Not something I thought of. I'm really pleased you all came along. I hope you enjoyed the visit. It's an open project, so if you have any students you'd like to show around, please feel free to do that, or colleagues.
We'll come back. I've wanted to share this with others. I put it at sunrise just to
Thank
show
you, Val.
you. And I'm going to put it at sunset just to show you the difference in environment.
I think
My
it's
pleasure,
wonderful
everyone.
that it's available and anyone can come and bring their students. That is so generous. You can tell
Oh, the
them to
C-sharp
do that.
board. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's in the main display area. My students use that for their programming notes for their projects.
I'll let him know that you said that here in Second Life.
Actually,
And
I
this
was there
is-
before.
Okay, my pleasure, everyone. And as I say,
Thank
please
you.
feel free to come back anytime you want, or get in touch if you have any questions. If I can be any help, I'll be pleased to be.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Val, for your help here and for reading.
Okay, Tom, thanks for that. Glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have 2 sessions, so stay tuned. And the certificates will come. Let me know if you received them. Did you receive the ones from yesterday, the day before, from week 2? If you're
Okay.
missing a certificate, please let me know. Yes, great. See you tomorrow.
Excellent job.